You guys are in for a treat today.
Oh yeah.
We're back, guys, building the Holy Grail of all Jags. Check this out. Let me take you a little walk around and show you what we did today. This is about ride height right here. It's gonna sink a couple inches because we've got some weight to go into it still, but that's about where it's gonna sit. And a lot of people are thinking that's high, but if you look like over at that Toyota, it's really not any higher than that. And it also looks high because it's a car. So trucks, they have this false area that goes below the frame to kind of cover the frame. But since this is a car, that's gonna be a little bit different, so it's gonna look a little bit taller. But let me show you around this side what we've been up to today. What have we been up to today?
We ate lunch.
we did eat lunch. This has been a pain in my butt nightmare. You see this laser right here? I'm gonna explain how all this, what's it doing back there? Oh,
Just a spot.
Watch your eyeballs, guys. There's a laser right here. This has been a pain in my butt today to try to get this axle square to the car. And basically that's pretty much everything we've been working on today, is to try to get this axle and the forelink, the rear forelink, situated so that we can weld it all up. Let me move this up. Gotta do this fast mo.
Makes it look like the car's not moving, but the earth's dropping out underneath.
That might look cool. All right, guys, we even broke out the plumb bobs today. So this line right here is the imaginary line of the back of the car. If you haven't been following along, we're gonna make this car into a truck. So that's gonna be the back of the edge of the cab. And then there's going to be a small flatbed truck back here. So what we had to do is make sure that the tire was behind that. We don't want it hitting, can you see it? We don't want it hitting the tire. All right, Joshua. They're mesmerized. So we built these boxes in the last video, then we plated them here. We've got a hole cut in the side here. We're gonna put a tube down all the way towards the engine, much further down to make this a lot stronger. So there's gonna be two tubes coming out. That's gonna support the bed. And then what we had to do today was to try to get this axle square with the frame. And I'll tell you, that was difficult. So the first thing that we did is got this laser out. Those are pretty cheap on Amazon and it really helped. So some of these tips you get today might not only help you with building Jaguars, but they could also help you with building decks, houses, anything really. But we took that laser level and we put it in line with the motor because, well, at first we thought the motor was centered in there. I should call it the engine because some people don't like it whenever I call it a motor.
You gotta say it like Clarkson. It's a diesel motor.
Diesel motor. So I was working, trying to figure out how to get that axle square to the motor for probably 45 minutes to an hour. And then I realized, Josh actually pointed it out, that the motor might not be square in the chassis, and it's definitely not. So we scrapped that idea. I took some measurements. This is actually the center line right here. And then I marked one up front, came down with a line to the floor. And then we took this laser level and we marked a straight line right down the middle. And what this can actually do also is put a line straight down on the floor that's perpendicular to that line. So that helped us. I was able to take a measuring tape and measure from here to that line, and then the same thing on the other side to make sure that we were perpendicular. This axle has a locker, so it's been really hard to move around because both of the, not a locker, but a spool, both of the tires turn together. So you can't just roll it, you have to kind of like push it. Let me show you a little trick that we did here. So if you're using a double cardan drive shaft, which means that there's two U-joints on one end, one U-joint on the other end, then you have to point the axle towards the output on your transfer case. So I took this PVC pipe and I set it right there, and then I used this angle finder to find out that that is exactly 13 degrees. So we need this axle to be pointed 13 degrees. So you take your angle finder and you set it right there on the pinion. And right now we're a little high. We need to move things a little bit, but about 13 degrees is what we want. And since we're reusing all of the pieces off of that Toyota, there's actually no adjustment in these arms. So typically what you would do is just get it close and then adjust your arms. But in this case, we have to get it exact. And whenever we weld it in, that's where it's going to be forever. So then I got these little brackets and I tacked them in here and tacked on the other side. And now we should be able to slide in the piece that was cut out from the Toyota and weld it in. And that's where everything's going to sit. Do you have anything to add to that, Josh?
No, you covered it.
I'm trying to explain this the best that I can. There was a lot to cover.
Yeah, I mean, little things like, obviously, these are going to be gusseted in.
Yeah, they're
not just going to be welded to the corner like that. But
they're just tacked in for now. But basically, once you get these lowers set, then typically you would take your uppers and spin them in or out, and that's what pushes your axle left and right like this. Since there's no adjustment there, it's been a really difficult process of setting this up because it has to be perfect. One thing we could do, I guess, is to cut these off and put a heim on this end, which would somewhat help, but then you would have to take the whole thing off, spin the heim out, and stick it back in. That's why typically you would have a heim on either end, a left thread and a right thread, and then you would just loosen them and spin the tube, and then it makes quick work of changing the location of your axle.
I mean, that's how mine are. You got to take the end loose, spin it, put it back in.
Yeah, and if your links are bent, you can't have them adjustable because obviously you can't just, I mean, you can have them somewhat adjustable, but you can't just loosen them and spin them if you have bent links.
Yeah, you can't even have, you can't have heims on both ends. You have to have bushings on one end.
Right, if you have a bent link like that. But trying to save money, we are trying to just reuse everything, and basically it's working out really good. We haven't bought anything yet. Maybe these. I had these lying around, but I'll have to add these into the budget, but those are cheap. Maybe, what, 15 bucks a piece or something like that? Let's take a look at this.
This I would not recommend doing. I would recommend just building one.
We were thinking about whether we should just rebuild this or reuse it, and we ended up reusing it. Josh basically took all day long today to cut this, which he did a good job, but it was about 1 inch wide, too wide on either side, so he had to cut this down perfectly flat and with all the edges and angles. That was a long process, but
it had big pieces of bar welded there and there. There were things welded to the back of it. Cut all that stuff up. Tried to clean up some of the welds.
Yeah, there was a lot, but it's going to save us money and it's going to save us time. I think it would probably take us 2 days instead of just 1 day if we were to try to build all this. But this piece now can just slide in. So what we're going to do next here in a second is we're just going to slide this down in here, push it forward, and then tack it in place. Once these holes line up, then it should be good to weld in. You see any issues with that?
No, we'll find those.
The hardest part was getting that axle perpendicular to this frame. Not only did it have to be perpendicular, it had to be perfectly centered left and right. And then every time I got it where I thought it was correct, this arm was like out 3 inches and this arm was only out 1.5 inches. And I kept wondering what in the heck is going on. Most of that was because we were trying to center it off the engine instead of the frame.
When we put the engine in the frame, we put it to where it would clear everything best, not to where it was centered in the frame.
Yeah, and people might not realize, but a lot of engines come actually in from the factory kind of crooked or sideways in the car. They're not perfect from the get-go.
No, they come offset to the passenger side a lot.
This one is more centered than it was from factory, I think. Though.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we need to get that pinion angle right before we weld that in.
Yeah, okay, so let me show them that. Take a look from this side down here. Now that the tops are tacked in, the way to change this pinion angle is to rotate here, and then I've got a screwdriver that I'm sticking over here. You tell me when.
Other way.
Other way?
Keep going. Well, back just a touch. Okay, now that's gonna change things, so we gotta put this back in.
It's 13 on this side. What do you mean we gotta put this back in?
Because we moved that down, so it changes the angle of this tube too.
Nah.
It doesn't fit anymore.
It never did.
Oh.
Once I moved things. But if you put that, it's just a roundabout right there. We've got 13. It's still 13.
Okay.
So, the pinion is now pointed there. So right where these are now is where they need to stay. The hard part is going to be keeping them right there while everything is kind of loose. I've got chocks under the tires already. There's rubber chocks under there.
Okay.
So.
Yes, because we're going to be trying to slide angles in together.
Hey, you know what? If we can drop it straight down, it should line up perfectly. So what we need, let me grab a little smackaroo hammer.
We need you guys to say your prayers for us, even though it will be too late because this will be done by the time you see it. But we'll still take them.
Hey, if this doesn't work out, everything's just going to fall apart. Which side do you want? That side?
Can you say pray on the internet anymore?
I don't know. Here's a bolt.
Doesn't fit. It fits.
Okay, it needs to go forward about an inch or two.
I'm gonna hit the bottom.
We can't drop it straight down.
It has to be back just a touch.
Okay, let me get mine inside. Okay. Oh yeah, it's looking good, looking good. Roll that out. There you go. This needs to go up. There you go. Uh-oh, don't let it drop out in the bottom. I think it's pushing it now.
What about one of these?
Yeah, grab that. Don't get it in too far. You'll never get it back out. You gotta. Oh yeah. One down, one to go. Why is it always my side? That's gotta be the problem. Oh man, it's way off.
What way?
It needs to go that way, the bolt.
Okay, so if it needs to go that way, then this needs to go that way. So we need to measure back from something and see where we're square.
We might not be, because I can see a big gap here. So
you're assuming that I cut.
Maybe that's the issue.
That I cut.
You didn't cut straight. Here.
I cut what that green line told me to cut.
All right, guys, it is Friday, and we have been working on this for weeks and weeks straight. I say, to get away from the monotony, Josh, we ought to do something different today.
All right. We talked about going wheeling earlier in the week, but never really planned.
Yeah, we didn't really plan on that. But what if we went wheeling on something that has no wheels?
If we fly?
How about a boat?
It'll work too.
Let's get the boat out. It needs a little bit of work. I have this boat that I take out probably once a year, realistically, maybe twice a year at most. But by the time I get around to getting it out again, it needs fixed up. So if we can get that going, and then we can go out on the boat.
I'm under here for a reason. I don't just live here. This isn't my chill spot.
He lives under this car. No, but we've just been looking over this. We realized that the drive shaft might hit that cross member. We're going to deal with that later. Right now, it's boat time. All right, so I welded this little receiver hitch thing on the back of Sassy Pants here, but it's welded onto that thing, and that thing is a little sketch, so
it's basically the body holding the bumper on.
You keep an eye on it. Oh man. Yeah.
That's not good.
It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Jeeps.
No,
Yeah.
it just starts up and runs. That's it.
Is it still there?
It's still there. So this side stays pretty solid, but it twists the whole tube.
I think she's good.
I think when that falls off, it's going to draw up the gas tank too.
It'll be fine. Okay, you ready?
Ready.
Does that? Do a 360.
Challenge cleared.
I think he's done this a time or two.
Well, that was a lot of fun, but now we've got to get back to work. Come check out what happened since you guys were gone. While we were out on the boat, I was hoping it would fix itself, but it actually didn't do anything. It's exactly the same as we left it. So what we're planning on doing today is we need to tack things a little bit more permanently, but not too permanently, just in case. So we're gonna try to rotate this thing around because we're gonna start working on the back of this now and the bed, and we're kind of jammed up into the corner here. So we wanna get things tacked in place enough to be able to take this out, spin it around, and then I'd like to flex it to see if there's gonna be any issues before we permanently mount all the mount. So that is our conundrum for today. Let's get started. While I'm doing that, Josh, are you gonna groove the tires for us?
I'm getting groovy as soon as I figure out how to work this thing.
So typically we use a tire groover. Why are you gonna attempt to use multi-tool?
I was thinking if it was possible to make these a little deeper. That's what everybody seems to do, that there's a ton of rubber right there and you can take some of it off.
There is, just don't cut in too far, and I don't wanna hear a psh.
Yeah. Tires are old as it is.
So what we're trying to do with those tires, they may look bald, but these Super Swampers have a lot of rubber, a lot of extra rubber, and we're gonna get a little bit more bite out of them by doing something similar to this. So this is called grooving. You just take a bunch of the rubber out. You can make a different kind of tread pattern if you like as well. You also can square off the edges, so see how these are kind of round it over like that, you can take that groover and you could come in here and square off those edges, get more bite, just like this. I have a feeling he's not gonna like that vibrating multi-tool.
Oh, it works. It works. It's just hard to tell what you're doing.
Did it work?
Oh, yeah.
Holy smokes.
Maybe I need to
We might have to buy new tires here pretty soon.
I'll use the rubber groover first.
Okay, body's up for the 100th time, soon to be 1,000. Look how pretty that looks. Everything's coming together really nice. Got our cross member in there. So we know that we're gonna keep this. I'm gonna weld this box in permanently. And then I'll probably put a bead right down here. If we need to cut this off later, then we can just whack it right there. Of course, it's gonna get gussets and stuff, but for now, we're just trying to get it in place where we can move it. So that's what we're gonna do. You got enough tips back there?
What's that?
You got enough tips for the groover?
I got enough to start here.
You know the groove pattern?
Yeah,
You got it down by heart now?
straight across. These ones are easy. Just make lines.
Make a line.
Where it's set right there is right down to the cords. That had to have been what it was like on the old ones, or on the Comanche.
All right, I got it welded in enough. Josh, have you ever noticed that your first welds on a Monday are always the worst?
Yes, but so are Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
I haven't welded in a few days, and this side over here wasn't as good as I had hoped. But then this side, I had it dialed in finally.
I think.
But what are you gonna do?
I have a fix for all that.
What's that? Practice first?
No, bed liner. I was thinking anything like that cross member, we just bed liner it.
What's that saying? A grinder and paint make you the welder you ain't?
Yeah. As long as they're strong.
All right, so whenever you're at a stopping point, I am ready to roll this sucker out. We have to put something under here though.
Maybe a 4x4?
Something
Or
to keep it from collapsing.
Yeah.
It's gonna be under so much stress by doing that. Maybe a 4x4 would work. I think we have one right here actually. It's a little short. That, along with that little piece of, will a 2x4 fit in there?
Probably not.
I have a 1x here that would probably go in there.
That'll help.
There we go. We'll just set it on that. This one? Ow. Oh. You know what this kind of looks like right now is one of those RC axial crawlers. You ready? See if this is gonna work. Hope my welds are good. Oh man, that's getting sketchy. I think we probably could have fit another 4x4 under there if we wanted it to stay up.
We can move it and lift it back up.
I don't think that weld's gonna pop, but if it does, that thing's gonna fly around at 100 miles an hour.
It is supporting itself.
Yay. You realize we're gonna have to put the car back down on top of it before we roll it out. I just thought of that, because if not, the car's gonna be the wrong way. So if you guys thought that was sketchy, now we have to drop the car on top of that as well, and then rotate it. So that's the weld that's holding it currently. I think that should be fine, I think. I've got these brackets welded across the top and then tacked on the sides. And these brackets are just one bead down the side of that. And then all that's getting supported right here on these blocks of wood.
This is pretty thin stuff, but I'd say it's okay.
Yeah, what we could do is raise that back up and level it out with another 2x4 under each one of these.
Yeah.
That might make things a little happier.
A little more level.
Because right now it's kind of sitting way back in the back.
Carolina.
Carolina squat. Is that gonna hold?
Sure.
Okay, here we go.
I'm covered in spider webs.
Whoa, now it's kind of high in the back. Okay, let's take out the
1x.
the 1x.
Yep, go for it.
Oh yeah, that's the ticket.
I like it.
Still a little high in the back, but that's kind of what we're looking for.
That's all right.
Just a little bit high in the back. It's gonna give us better view when we're looking out that window over that long hood. Now let's see if we're still in alignment with the car. Do, 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 do. Looks like we're gonna have to go back about an inch or two.
How about now?
Hold on, let's try that at the front here.
My front's right on.
Okay, we'll just drop it down and shake it then. Did they line up?
Yeah.
All right, you guys are about to see something spectacular. This car is gonna move on all 4 tires.
Powered by us.
Flintstone powered. Okay, Flintstone power. Okay, now Flintstone power.
Now Flintstone powered.
Oh gosh, that's heavy.
Yes, it is.
I think it's in gear or something.
I don't think so.
Oh, the back tire is almost flat.
Yeah, we need air in the tires.
Okay, we're gonna have to take 2 on this. Give us a sec. Okay, let's do Flintstone power, take 2. Oh yeah, that's much better.
easier. Still heavy, but much easier.
Okay.
You need a bigger shop.
I don't think this thing's gonna turn around real easy in here.
Oh, it's not gonna be easy, but it'll turn around.
Look at that thing. That is ginormous. Ginormous monster truck. So, listening to the comments, I don't think a lot of people understand how big this car is. It is a very, very big car. So one of the things that people keep mentioning is that we should just have put it on the Toyota and did the engine swap, the diesel onto the Toyota frame. What people don't understand is how big this car is and how it would not fit. It's not gonna fit on that Toyota. Let me show you if I can kind of see the difference here. Okay, so there's the Toyota, little tiny Toyota. Here's the Jag. That's about the same distance away. Look how much bigger it is.
We'd have to do a lot of frame reinforcements to put that Cummins in it too.
Check out the frame on this, what was a Dodge. I mean, it's massive to support that motor. Now come over here and look at the frame on the Toyota. I don't know if you can tell, but that's not even the size of a 2x4. I mean, it's just tiny. So there's no way that's gonna support a big old Cummins motor. What are you doing in there?
Just checking it out.
How's the view? Can you see anything?
I can. I mean, it's not great, but you can. You do have to lean way out. The door's pretty fat to be able to see the tire, and you can only see a third of the tire. Unless you go like that.
It's gonna be a big, giant monster truck, tow rig, rock crawler.
Yeah,
but
I think the hopes, you don't need to see that much. You just drive over whatever's in front of you.
right, it's still gonna be way better than a JK.
Oh yeah.
Still way better than a JK or any JL that you've ever seen. This thing is gonna be a beast.
You know what we could do? Just open the sunroof and have a tall seat.
I actually found on Facebook Marketplace, there was a tank bubble, a bulletproof tank bubble. And I was thinking about getting that. Do you think you could raise the seat high enough and still be able to reach the gas pedal and the steering wheel?
You'd have to be.
There you go.
Perfect.
Perfect. Now just don't hit a rock or slow down or your head's gonna come off. The thing that really hurt too is bars, like roll bars. So when I made this Comanche, I wanted windshield wipers, and to do that, I had to take this bar way up and around. And because of that, it kind of blocked the view. And what I did in this case was I raised the seat about 1.5 inches, and that got me up above this bar because I was straining my neck. I noticed a lot of times when I would drive this at first, I would always go like this, and by the end of the day, my neck was just strained and tense. And once I lifted that seat up, that all went away. So that's another option that you've got as well. Okay, we got it on these little rolly doodads. Now, can we spin it? That is the $1 million question.
Can we spin it?
Can we spin it? I think the answer is no. You can spin the back. Well, that was easy. Front's gonna be a little harder. Hold on, let me get a picture of this while it's out here.
Oh yeah.
So if you can't tell how big that thing is, check this out. This is what we came up with for the thumbnail. That's us sitting underneath it. It's a big car. One of the questions you guys had a lot on a previous video in the comments was why we didn't use the Dodge leaf springs, and there's a couple reasons for that. One is the unknown. Those are custom Alcan springs. They're probably not meant for rock crawling, they're meant for highway driving. So we just didn't know where we would end up. If we mounted them, they might shrink, they might be too stiff. There was just an unknown factor there. We know what these did because we were able to take these out and rock crawl them. Two, those Dodge leaf springs were much longer. These are a little bit shorter. What you want to do when you're building a rock crawler is have that tire out as far as possible, if not in front of the front bumper. A little bit shorter leaf spring can help with that. Also, the center pins on this were moved a little bit forward, so that helps with getting that tire forward as well, which helps with the approach angle. And the third reason was this is the Dodge bolt for the front and rear leaf spring. See that? This is the Toyota bolt for the front and rear leaf spring. This is actually for the upper spring hanger, but they were much bigger and beefier, and there was no way to make this bigger because the bushing takes up all of it already, and the little loop on those Alcan springs were just very tiny, whereas with this Toyota leaf springs and the Dodge axle, everything was already big, beefy, and secure. So we just went with that because it was easy. Okay, let's see if we can turn this front end. Are you ready?
Yep. Oh, wait, stop. We're about to drop off the...
That would be bad.
Yeah.
Try to go forward.
Forward and around.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen.
Nope. Okay, let's just go sideways. See what happens.
Try to go forward as we go sideways.
Yeah.
2, 3. Oh yeah.
There it went.
Okay, we had a little issue over here. We went outside the bounds. So, what if we bring this jack over? And just lift up there. Now as we push the front, it should kind of roll with it, I think. Okay, we're probably gonna hit something back here. We need to try to pull that way. Okay, think we can go forward?
I do. Oh, some of those front ones aren't turned.
There we go. Okay. 1, 2, 3. That's probably in a decent spot if we're just gonna work on the rear. All right, that was fun. Why are you beeping so much over there? All right, next step is we need to make a right angle. I see why he's beeping. He's got the laser level out. And that's probably gonna be the ticket because getting this to fold down on all these curves is not gonna work very well. So let's go over there and check this out. We're gonna get that laser line level so that this is perpendicular here, or parallel here with the body line. And then that will give us a perpendicular line where to cut right here. All right, I'm just gonna draw this line right here. That's gonna be our cut line. Now, can we transfer this line to all the interior pieces? Actually, I can see it.
You can get down onto there.
I can see it kinda here.
I can lower this, but I don't know if I can do it without it all.
Keep it right there for a second. Chip the paint off of here. Oh yeah. All right, that's our cut line. We're gonna do that on the other side as well, make sure it's square with this side. And then we're gonna have to try to figure out how to mark those on all these other interior panels. And then we're just gonna saw that car in half. I had a grenader. I'm glad I wasn't in line with it. So if we put this laser level in here and we connect the two dots there, we should get a perfectly straight line fairly easily. And that's where we need to cut the floor. And then we're going to fold this wall forward because this wall is where the back seat rests. So we're going to need to fold that slightly forward because we are still going to have a back seat. We got to be able to pick up hitchhikers.
We got chicks.
No, hitchhikers.
Chicks.
Since this is going to be a towing and recovery vehicle, we're going to have to carry all those passengers that we're towing and recovering. Oh yeah, just that bush in there. Oh yeah, look at that. Now we're talking double cab trucks. A little smoky in here.
What's in the box? What's in the box?
Oh my goodness!
What's in the box?
Look how cool this is! Look at what Ben brought me. Check that. That is a Ram Jag. Look at that. It's got a Ram head, Jaguar body. That's gonna be perfect. Thanks, Ben.
Not a problem.
Look at this. We gotta paint that up. Oh, that's gonna be so cool. Look at that. What do you think?
That's awesome.
The size is more fitting now too.
Yeah, for sure. That little guy, too small. This guy, perfect. Now we need to paint that. Can we paint it with anything? Will it accept paint?
Yep, just put a primer on it and then paint it whatever you want.
How long that take to print out?
About 13 hours.
It came out really nice though. I'm surprised.
We ought to see if we can chrome plate it somehow. I think chrome plate plastic. I'm not sure how to do it, but electroplate it. I don't know. Static.
I bet that metallizing place would know.
They might.
Maybe they could coat it in brass for us. I'm gonna have to put that on soon so people can get a hold of that. Thank you, appreciate that. Josh, I got shrapnel in my face. You can kind of see where we're headed now with this truggy of a Jag.
Arizona.
Yeah, we're headed to Arizona. But you can also see it kind of taking shape now. So we're gonna put a back onto it just like you would have a truck. So it's gonna be a quad cab, and then we're gonna put a flatbed out here. It's gonna be awesome. That's all I've got for you today. So make sure you're subscribed and stay tuned for the next video. We'll see you then.
See ya.